Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Hello again, friends, and welcome back to another edition of the Rocket Hour, where Ricky's off today. It's a holiday for Ricky, so I brought my boy Mike Somich on. Mr. Somich, what's up?
Not too much, man. How's it going? How you doing?
It's going great. It's going great. Like I said, Ricky had a little holiday today, so let him have the day off. And I thought, who better than Mr. Somich to come on? And you know, Somich, we've been hot on this show. Last week we did well. Yesterday we both went 3 out of 4. But guess what? We're back at Belmont today. How excited are you to have Naira back in your life?
I'm lukewarm excited. I'm going to be honest here. I enjoyed playing Canterbury the last couple of days. Kind of bummed I can't play that tournament tonight, but I wish good luck to everybody in the BC tournament, Canterbury. Look, I love me some Naira. I think we got some interesting turf races here. We got some interesting discussions around entries that are going to be really short prices and whether or not you use them, you chuck them, you single them, what you want to do. It's a very Naira 4 races. I'll put it that way. I mean, you have a couple turf races with no pace, and you have just a shit show to end it with a state bred 40 maiden.
I know, yeah. It is like a typical Naira card that we're used to covering on this show. It just seems like you're going along there, and then, like I said, it's a shit show at the end. So we'll see what happens here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You know how it is. We'll get right to it on this show. We get going quickly and get going. We don't waste a lot of time. We like to get right to the handicapping. So I'll bring up the race right now. The late pick 4 starts in race 6. So race 6, 7, 8, and 9 today at Belmont. No weather problems. We're on the turf. Everything's good there. That's always good news when we're talking about Naira. So race 6 will kick us off. An allowance for 3-year-olds on the turf going 1 mile. A nice $92,000 purse. A very strong purse there. For fillies 3-year-olds and upward. The 1 is scratched, but the 1 was an MTO. So a field of 8. Somich, kick us off here. Where'd you go?
Well, 5's out as well. So just we're down to 7 there. You know,
5 is out. Okay, let me refresh my page. Okay.
I thought this might be one of the toughest races that we're going to cover here. This is one of those where you have horses coming in from a bunch of different levels, bunch of different trainers, bunch of different places, all kind of converging in one race. You have a lot of horses exiting interesting spots too. Like we have, the 3 horse. So I'm going to end up on top with Messidor. It's coming out of the Saratoga Oaks Invitational, which was won by Conlima and Higher Truth, who ran very well against Santa Barbara the previous start. So you kind of like that specific race that Messidor is coming out of. Also like the fact that we're getting second North America, first time in the Clement barn. It's interesting that they're kind of keeping this horse now over here in the U.S. Instead of shipping it back overseas. This is a significant drop in class here for Messidor. It's also a horse that kind of wants to come from a little bit further off the pace if you looked at kind of what the running style was over in Europe. And that race just never got that chance to do that. Conlima goes a slow pace, takes them wire to wire. Higher Truth ends up wiring the field. No one really closed it all into that. So I think you're going to see a bunch of different style and a much better effort today from Messidor, the 3 horse.
Yeah, and when we look at this race, we're pretty similar here. You use 3, 4, 7, and 8. I use 3, 6, 7, and 8, and I messed up that. Let me do that real quick here. Make that one where it scrolls, and there we go. So, I had the 3 on the ticket as well. Like that horse a lot. Also, the 7 misspell, a horse we both used. Horse dropping down in class, getting back on the Naira circuit after trying tougher at Woodbine. It just seems like a horse that makes a lot of sense. Was at this level 2 back at Saratoga, lost by a nose. Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz, no introduction there. I'll talk about the 6 sport model just a little bit as well. This horse has won 3 in a row. Obviously, another horse here out of the Clement barn. I was just of the idea, if I'm going to use one Clement, I'm going to use them both. And I think with the horse 3 wins in a row, I know now Dylan Davis gets aboard, so it's a jockey downgrade. But I think it's a simple situation of, well, Irad had to go with Brown, so we'll put Dylan Davis on. So I thought the 6 made a little bit of sense to use here as well. It seems like a race. I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think we're both going to get through here. You use the 4, so I'll let you talk about the 4 real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Designer Ready is just one of those horses that's interesting to me. It's the second time out in the Mott Barn. We're adding blinkers, a move that he's not wonderful with, only about 10%, but it looks like this horse needs them. Just kind of a little bit slow out of the gate. I like the fact that Saez is riding this horse for the second time. And to me, the reason I'm using the 4 Designer Ready is really the races that he is coming out of, or she's coming out of. If you look back to the Ginger Brew, that's won by Cone Lima. We already talked about Cone Lima. Very good horse. The next race, Spanish Love Affair, and Cone Lima again. The Spanish Love Affair gets DQ'd there, probably unfairly. I remember that race pretty well. Then you take a break. You end up in the Mott Barn. Mott comes back in a restricted $120,000 stakes at Saratoga. Rastafara is a very good horse. Broke its maiden impressively at Saratoga, came back for Chad Brown, won. The horse that ran second, third draft, ran well a couple times at Saratoga. That race is sneaky good for a $120K restricted stakes race. So just the level that this horse has been running in the last 3, I think you're getting a drop in class here. I think you're facing a little bit easier, and I think the form fits if we can see an improvement second off for the layoff here for Mott. I'm actually playing 2 tickets. This was the 4th horse in for me, and I was between the 4 and the 6. And for me, it came down to the fact that the 6 is coming out of slower state bred races, right? The 1-2 stakes, 1-3 in a row. Not going to knock it for winning, but it was definitely running against worse horses than it is today. And is taking a step up in class, even though it is coming out of stakes races. So I went with the 4 over the 6 just because of who they've been facing the last few out. The 8 horse, who we both use, kind of happy we both use it here. I'm assuming we're both using it for the same reason. First off, I like seeing Brittany Russell here a little bit more in New York. It's interesting to have her running a couple in this sequence. Carmouche loves to send, man. There's no speed in this race. Like, this is your clear leader, right? The 8's going to try and take this field wire to wire.
That's my thing. That's why I threw the 8 on. Lone speed on the turf in New York. It's never a bad thing. And this 8 that certainly has that ability. And look who gets aboard, Mike. Kendrick Carmouche. Nobody better on the lead at Naira than Kendrick. Well, maybe Luis Saez now. But Kendrick fits this horse really well. I'm happy to see him back. I'm with you. I think at 10-1, this horse makes a lot of sense. You look at this field, there is just no speed. And there's the 8 with a chance to do it. And I got a nice outside post. We can kind of just break, kick clear, get over, save turn going into that 1 turn here of the mile. So I'm with you there. It's funny. We often don't see things the same, but we pretty much have it the same because my 4th one in was the 6. Your 4th one in was the 4. And we both were debating between that one and our top 3 is the same. So I don't know. I guess that's a pretty good sign, right?
I'd hope so. Usually when we agree, things go well, right? I think the one wild card in this race is the 9 horse, Evie Jets. I'm not going to use this horse. It showed speed, went wire to wire last time, but that was in a $75,000 maiden special weight. I'm sorry, $75,000 maiden claimer. So this is quite a big step up. That's the other horse that could show some pace, but that was just kind of a paceless race. So I'm really hoping that the 8 horse is the one that's able to just kind of go and just take this field gate to wire 10-1.
So before we move on, I think what you brought up is a really good kind of point to mention out. So if you're looking and you're trying to decide pace and you look at the 8 and it's like, well, I don't see any 1s early in this horse's past performances. And then you look at the 9 and go, well, that last race, it's all 1s. The level and the class of the race will often dictate what happens with the pace. And I think you're right. This horse just fell on the lead, a paceless race. But that does not mean that the horse can now move up to an allowance race and set the pace. Where the 8 has been in tougher races, still been going pretty fast early, only a length or 2 off the early fractions there. Now we're in an allowance, where there isn't a lot of speed other than the 9. The 8 is going to be faster than the 9 early. I always think you need to look at the class of the race and also the fractions that were being run in that race as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. I hadn't planned on doing that, but I think that is a really good thing to point out. All right, Somich, let's go on, though, to the 7th race. We're on the dirt for this one, a $40,000 claimer going 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds and upward. The 7 horse Just Right is out. Everybody else is in. So it's a field of 7, but 6 entries because 1 and 1A are coupled. Looking at your ticket here, it looks like you've got a single. So I'll let you go first with that single.
Yeah, this is the first of the two entries that I think are the most important four horses in this whole sequence. I think you really got to decide where you're taking a stand, where you're not, and how you're going to play them so you don't end up with a ticket that really just kind of screws you, right? So for me, this entry, I think both of these horses, I picked Happy Farm first in this race, the 1A. I picked Clench second in this race, the 1. I think Happy Farm has a distinct pace advantage here, should be loose on the lead. If that happens, I think Happy Farm is going to be wildly difficult. I have absolutely no qualms about claiming for 50 and dropping in for 40. If you look at what they would make if this horse gets claimed, which it probably will out of this race, and you win this purse, they're in the plus in a 3-month turnaround time. So I think it makes a ton of sense to have Happy Farm in here if you think it's going to win. IRAD picks up the mount for Linda Rice. I like that. And then Clinch, I think, is your next best horse in this spot. The horse has been running consistently and been running well, been a little bit all over the place from just a level perspective, anywhere from $50,000 to $20,000 claimers, but beat Strolling last out. The 2 horses, another one that I looked at, and that horse is also stepping up here from the 40,000 or from the 20 up to the 40,000. But to me, the 1A is the top horse. The 1 is the next horse. And if I'm going to take these 2 horses, and I think they win this race 60 to 65% of the time, I can't spread in this spot just because I don't think there's any value if I do. So I'm going to single this up in both the 50-cent and the $5 ticket. And then we'll get to the next race. We'll take a few more swings.
I love it. You got to single or go short in both these races, in my opinion. I want to read this real quick, though. Good morning. Just found this channel while looking for Gulfstream Park picks last week. Great channel and sub. Love the analysis here. Thank you so much for that. And thanks for letting us know. We're here pretty much every day. Well, maybe not the weekends, but here pretty much every day doing something on this. So thank you, Frankie, for mentioning that, and welcome. And I hope you enjoy everything that we have to put out here at Racing Dudes. We're really trying to make our live and video stuff better and better each week. So thanks for that. All right. Back to business, though, because that's what everybody wants to hear, including Frankie. All right. So here's what I did. I really love the 1 and 1A. I'm with you 100%. I don't mind you singling that at all. I'm not going to talk down to you, Mr. Somich, like I did on the Magic Mike show Monday about Baker. But okay, I
went back and watched that whole game, by the way. I do my rewatches every week. That one was yesterday. If you want to get into it at the end, I am ready to make an even stronger point against why he was bad in the 4th quarter.
All right, so I used the 2-horse Alcools with the 1 and 1A here. Okay, so there's 2 things. I'm with you. I think the 1 and 1A both are the horses to beat, and so I kind of looked at it. So what could change with one of these other horses that I could maybe make a case that we could get the 1 and 1A beat, and the 2 has the obvious trainer switch. Englehart, first time out off the claim here, claim for 25, moves up to 40. I thought that was a good sign. Jose Ortiz jumps aboard for Englehart. I thought that was a good sign, and I think, when you're playing pick 4s, I want to I don't want the 3-1 number 3 on the ticket. I want a value horse if I'm going to use one other than this 1 and 1A. And the 2 at 8-1, I think that's worth a shot to throw in. Now, you said off air you hate this 2 horse. So obviously, though, I'm looking for a big jump up in ability or class, whatever here. I'm just looking for this horse to take a jump first out for Englehart. Like I said, I think there's other positive signs. The move up in class and getting Jose Ortiz aboard shows me that Englehart thinks this horse has a little bit of run. Obviously gets up against 2 tough horses here, but I think the 2's worth a use. So I went 1-2. I kept it short. I think on this sequence, much like Indiana Grand yesterday, $30 to $40 is about where you need to land if you're going to play a 50-cent ticket. So I use the 2. I know you hate the 2, right? You hate that use.
I mean, okay, hate may be a little strong. To me, I see one race on the page that wins this race. It was at 6.5 furlongs. It was when this horse was going out of the Peter Miller barn, which I would say is a better barn than where the 2 is right now in the Englehart barn. And that's a race where Flavian Pratt rode the horse, and there was just a pace meltdown going 6.5 furlongs. And so Alcools was able to beat Strolling, and then Strolling came back to beat Alcools. Strolling ran second to Clench, lost by 4.5 lengths last time, the 1 horse. So there's clear issue there for me. I also think that Alcools might be a little better at 6.5 than 6. That's where we've consistently seen this horse run. So I don't think we're getting quite enough of the price at 8-1. I'm not sure you're getting 8-1. I think we should talk at least a little bit about the 4 and the 5, because I think there's a really interesting scenario here. The other Englehart brother, Jeffrey Englehart, we were joking off there about the whole Englehart family. Free Enterprise is one of those horses that was touted out of the Chad Brown barn for a long time. This horse was claimed last time out for $32,000. If you'll notice right below, the 5-horse Flat Out Beautiful was in the Jeffrey Englehart barn, was claimed 2 back for $40,000. It was actually in that same race as Free Enterprise. And Free Enterprise does not claim Flat Out Beautiful back, but does claim Free Enterprise. And you're getting 10-1 on the 4, and you're getting 5-1 on the 5 today. If I was going to spread a little, or if I didn't like the entry, the 4 and the 6 would be the other two that I'd end up using here.
Yeah, I've got the 4 and 3rd, actually, so I think you're right on with that. Only thing with the 5 is first out for Rob Atras. The horse did improve, and so maybe second time out you'll see a little bit more. But I like the 4 over the 5 as well. So yeah, I think that is just an interesting angle. The claiming game, always you can get these kind of weird things that happen. I got to share this real quick. I hit the pick 5 yesterday at IG, but left the track before it was over. Got wasted last night and lost the ticket.
There's so many ways to lose in horse racing. That's just another one, right? I mean, I still have 2 vouchers from freaking Lone Star Park sitting over here. I got to get back within a year to catch these suckers. It's ridiculous, man.
So what's funny, Mike, is Jay was on the show yesterday commenting, saying he's going to Indiana Grand and he was really looking forward to it, and he was loving that we did Indiana Grand, and then that happened. So
well, that's brutal. That's a tough way to go down, because you're so excited, so happy, celebrating, and you wake up the next morning and you're just like, oh crap. It's like when you're in Vegas and you black out and you find out you played craps after you blacked out, and you come back with less chips than you're left with. That's, it's just a rough feeling.
Oh man, I love it though. I love stories like that. It sounds like something I would do. That's why I try to bet on my phone as much as possible now. All right, let's move on to the 8th race, and here we go to the second part of what you described as the 4 most important horses in the sequence. It's an allowance race. I'm back on the turf here, going 1.25 miles. Allowance optional claimer, $80,000. For 3-year-olds and upward. Okay, field of 6 again. The 7 is a main track only, so that horse has scratched. All right, you got a Chad Brown coupled entry, morning line 4 to 5 with the 1 Value Engineering and the 1A Perjury Trap. Okay, kick us off. Tell us what you think of this one.
Yeah, I mean, let's start out by talking about the entry, who I'm not using here. So Value Engineering just loves to burn money. Let's start out right there, right? I mean, this is the 5th, 6th, 7th try? Fifth try at this level. And has run a 90-plus buyer every single time and finished 2nd and 3rd and 3rd and 3rd. Okay? Like, I get why this horse this entry is going to go off the favorite. Totally understand. I think a lot of people are betting Value Engineering. Then, to be honest, I think this entry probably wins this race 40% of the time, maybe a little bit more, but you're going to see 2 to 5 on this entry. So for me, if I think an entry is going to win 40% of the time and I'm getting 2 to 5, I cannot play that entry in my mind. You actually have a benefit of playing against that entry, because the other 60% of the time, you have a horse at a significantly more price and you knock out the mass majority of the horses in the pick 4 or pick 5 sequence. So for me, when I look at this and I look at Value Engineering as who I think is going to be the more bet of the 2 horses when you look at the entries, I'm just really not that interested. There's nothing changing here. There's no reason why we all of a sudden think Value Engineering is going to be able to step up and win at this level. I don't think this race is any easier than what he faced with 40 under and Mo Ready last time out. Hard Love, you could make the argument, is a pretty darn good horse. You're not changing the jockey. There's no equipment change. I mean, you need this horse to win, and the horse just doesn't seem to want to win at this level. Then you go to Perjury Trap, who I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, we both agree is probably the better half of the entry. Like, I think the 1A is the one that I'm more worried about than the 1 when I'm just comparing the 2. But Perjury Trap is, has not run all that much. It's only the 7th start in its 4-year-old season. There's a couple layoff lines there. Logically, could take a nice step forward here. Let's be honest. I mean, a 4-year-old second off the layoff late in the 4-year-old season are usually reasons I love type of horses. But this horse comes from the absolute clouds, and there just is no speed in this race. So I see 2 closers that are going to be overbet, that both are against the pace, that I think are beatable in this spot. And to me, this is where you got to try and take a stand. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to the 1 horse who has shown some pace, Summer to Remember. The 4 horse, this is a step up. We're coming out of a claiming race for $50,000. Rudy picks up the horse. Rosario picks up the mount. I'd rather have Saez, to be honest, to stay on this horse, because then I know we're going to go. But I do think we have a big time pace advantage here for Summerfront, who is also second off the layoff, 4-year-old later in the season. Summerfront as a Warfront horse, I like that sire lineage. Out of a distorted humor mare, the distance shouldn't be that big of an issue. So to me, I'm going to lean toward the 4 and hope the 4 can wire the field here.
I don't hate it. I didn't use the horse as you here. I'll put up my ticket now. As you can see, I did not use it, but I don't hate the use. It's the horse I'm worried about. You know, if value engineering wasn't, let me read. If Perjury Trap was not in the race and it was just value engineering, I wouldn't even use the horse on the ticket because I hate that horse. But with Perjury Trap in, I think this horse second off a long layoff. Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz, I think you're going to see a pretty good effort. So I use the 1A. I am a little worried about the 4, but I'm a little worried that the class might get the 4, might fade a little bit. And I thought the 6 for Chad Brown, Kinos, I thought this horse was really interesting. So 3 back at the same distance, at the same track, this horse was able to win by a nose and closed into a pretty slow pace, I would say. Ran so well, they tried him at the 2-mile Belmont Gold Cup last time out. That was on the day before the actual Belmont Stakes. Didn't run bad, got 4th, beaten 7th. Then they tried him in a 1.5-mile turf stakes at Belmont. Ran into Guffaw, Tide of the Sea, Shamrocket. I mean, really tough, $150,000 stakes. I just think the 6 is back amongst his friends today. And I think, could definitely pull off a little bit of an upset here. And I think you're going to get every bit of 5-1 because I think people will bet the 4 off that lone speed. I think people will bet the 5 because it's Farmington Road and people know who that horse is. And of course, I think the 1 and 1A get pounded here. So 1-6 for me. I don't hate what you're trying to do. And I think, if this is a situation where Summer to Remember gets really comfortable, they are going to have trouble running that horse down. So, but for me, I thought Perjury Trap was way the horse to beat. And I just think the Brad Cox runner with the 6 horse gets back amongst the friends today. So you mentioned it, and Dennis talked about it as well. Bell curve horse will either be on the lead or he will forget to have his feet in the irons, and he'll be last out of the gate. Let's get serious here for a second. You said I'd rather have Saez. Does the Rosario thing, is it still in your mind of, oh boy, Rosario on a speed horse on the turf?
No, I just don't trust Rosario as much. That's the thing. I just don't trust that he's always going to send this horse. I mean, I know that Saez would send this horse. That's the difference, right? It's literally just a trust factor. It's not that I think he's a worse rider on the lead or that he's unprepared in the gate or anything like that. I don't love his decision making sometimes. And I feel like if someone else goes out here with him a little bit, like if Temple, the 2 horse, decides I'm going to try and be on the lead today because there isn't much pace in here, that he backs off instead of going and taking the lead. I mean, you've seen Rosario have a ton of success on speed horses. So it's not like he can't ride a speed horse. It's just that sometimes he makes decisions on speed horses that I would prefer he didn't make. So it's just a trust level for me. That's really it. You mentioned Farmington Road. I kind of like Farmington Road. And it's not because I know the name. To me, it's you look at the 2 races on turf that this horse ran, wins its first time out, beat Felix the Fox, who finished 3rd in that race, who had a decent campaign going that year in 2020, comes back in the Twilight Derby, runs into Smooth Like Straight, field pass. If you look at the trip wasn't great. He was further back than he wanted to be in that race, still runs well on the turf course. This is just an interesting spot to come back in. My biggest issue here is the layoff more than anything else, but Pletcher's pretty darn good off the layoff, 25%. I like the size is up. Like, to me, there's a lot to like about the 5 who's 8-1. I think going to get overlooked. I was between the 2 and the 6. To be honest, you almost talked me into the 6 here. I'm like going back and forth on whether or not I should flip the 2 Temple into the 6. Kinanos. Because to me, those are the last 2 that I kind of couldn't decide on. I mean, Farmington Road is one of those classic unknown horses to me. I don't know how good Farmington Road is on turf. I know how good pretty much every other horse in this race is on turf. So to me, he has the logical ability to take a big time step forward. That's why I'm putting him on the ticket. And then it's Temple and Kenosis. Those are the 2 where I was kind of going back and forth. Did you look at Temple at all? Do you think I should switch to the 6? I mean, obviously you like the 6 more than the 2, but what did you think of Temple?
I don't love him. I don't know. It's just been a while since this horse has won, and that was my biggest issue. I do think, I don't want to bash Morley, but
But you're going to go ahead and bash Morley here for a second.
The horse had Maker, I would think about it a little bit more, honestly. And it's more of just a respect. Well, I don't even want to say that I respect Maker even. It's just that I respect the fact that he has a better shot to win a race than Morley. How about that?
That makes sense.
That's kind of why I took the 2. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be shocked if the 2 wins, but I've got interest in other horses here rather than the 2. So, well, yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I would use the 6, not the 2.
Well, the other thing, so I looked at the 2, and I have some of my concerns. You've got some paper tiger buyers where they're all in these graded stakes races where he doesn't usually run that well, right? In the last race, that 94 buyer, probably not completely accurate. You end up running 8th, 4 lengths back of Flavia's Tell Your Daddy and Value Proposition, all very good horses, but you know that you probably got the buyer because of what the first couple buyers were, not because of what the actual horse did. Clearly was weakening down the lane. All right, I'm going to flip it over because the other thing you didn't mention about the 6 that I think is worthwhile noting, the last 2 races were out Lasix. If you go back to that win, you're getting Lasix back. So I'm going to flip it out. I'll switch it up. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to play 4, 5, 6 instead of 2, 4, 5 here.
Okay, here I'll put mine on so you can correct yours. I do want to make one other thought. I really thought the 1 or 1A, he would scratch one of them. I really did. But with the 1 being in there and the 1 is not a burner by any means, value engineering, the plain 1 I'm saying. But the 1 has shown races where he's kind of towards the front. Is he maybe entered as a rabbit here for the 1A? Is that possible?
No. There's no way Klarovich has him as a rabbit here. I think it's a really bad sign that they're leaving them both in.
Well, Klarovich has both horses, though.
Right. I think that's a bad sign. I think if this is, look, Klarovich likes to win training titles, right? Yeah. They like to make money. These horses could each one or should each be able to win their own $80,000 optional. The fact that you're not confident enough in one that you have to run both, to me, is a negative sign. Yes, the 1 horse has shown a little more speed, but Castellano's not putting that horse on the lead. Come on. And there's no way that they're like, hey, Javi, you just gun it. You're going to be a rabbit here for the horse that's coming in from wherever the hell that horse came in from, Monmouth, Colonial, whatever it was. Ellis Park. You're going to be the rabbit for this horse that just won a 3 and up Ellis Park race. No. No.
I think they are telling Javi that.
Javi's like, I quit. I'm out. Jose gave me COVID. I'm out of here.
I don't know, just a thought in my mind. I just thought it was weird. They're both still entered. So all right, let's go in to the grand finale, like you said before.
That's one way to put it.
This is just a typical Naira finisher that makes it so much fun, I guess is the word. All right, we're back on the turf here for race number 9. $40,000 maiden claiming for New York breds going a mile and a 16th. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. We got a field of 12, the 13 and 14. They were also eligibles. They have both scratched. So full field of 12 horses here. I think we both went pretty deep in this spot. I'll let you kick us off.
Yeah, I thought 2 horses kind of stood out. So in the $5 ticket, I'm only going to go 2 deep. I like the 2 horse Mondeuse the most. Mondeuse. We'll go with Mondeuse. This is an Englehart claimed horse, and we get Sayas on top. I think this is going to be your speed. I'm interested in who the speed is in these races. There hasn't been a ton of rain up in New York, so I expect that you're going to see pretty firm turf. And I think speed's going to play pretty well. Look, I don't want to talk badly about David Donk, but I don't pick David Donk very often. And this horse ran well in the David Donk barn, got claimed off of him, now headed to the Englehart barn, who's a trainer that I do like, 12% off the claim. The dam here has been pretty productive, has multiple winners in the family, so I think that's a positive sign. I like the distance here. This horse just lost 2 back at this level at Belmont, going a mile and a 16th. I've talked about it on a lot of shows I'm on. I love inside speed. This is clearly your inside speed. I think this is the horse that's in the lead turning for home. I think we might see the 2 wire this field.
I think it's possible. I use the 2 as well, and I do think the 2 has the speed to get the job done. The horse I actually put on top, though, was the 8. I think the 8 gets a big jockey upgrade to Carmouche, second out on the turf today. Naturally second out on the turf. I think the horse takes a step up. And Horatio de Paz, I use this guy a lot in these types of races at Naira, and he's usually a decent price. So I thought the 8 made a ton of sense as well as a horse that we're going to see run better than she ever has before. Agree again with the 2. I use that horse as far as the speed. This one, the 11, do you just kind of feel like there could be magic in the air with Mike Maker today with this 11? First off, the claim for Maker gets this filly back to the turf. That's where she belongs. 2 back, almost 1 at this level, going 7 furlongs. And then all the way back, let's see, that would have been 4 races ago, ran at this level for Maker, set the pace, and got caught and finished 3rd. I just love that Maker gets this filly back. I think it's interesting that he thought enough of the filly to claim her back and then gets Irad Ortiz aboard. So I thought the 11 was one to use. And then the 10, I think I know why you didn't use this 10, but I don't know. I just think today's the day that the 10 could actually win. Gets a pretty terrible field here. I know she's had her chances. I'm going to give her one more shot. So for me, I went 2, 8, 10, and 11. I'll let you talk about the last few that you've put on your ticket there.
Yes, I do like the 11, and I agree with you that this horse getting back into the Maker barn, you mentioned it. This was a 3 Diamonds Maker horse all the way back in May that they reclaimed it at Saratoga to run it here at Belmont. This is the first time this horse is going to be trying a mile and a 16th or over a mile on the turf since that race 4 back, where the horse was favored at this level to win. Lemon Drop Kid, sire I like on the turf. So I think there's a lot that fits with the 11 Lemon Taffy. The 10 horse was the last horse off my ticket. Look, she just lost to enough in here that I'm not interested. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. She faced the 8 last time out, was able to beat the 8, but that was the 8's first time on turf. The horse should take a step forward, second time off the turf. And I like the 8. That was my 3rd in. So I agree on the 8 and the 11. The biggest issue I have with both the 10 and the 11 is the post. I don't think people look at the post enough at a mile and 16th on the inner turf at Belmont. On the turf at Belmont. When you look at how fast they get into that first turn, and really the entire first area is almost a turn, it's a lot tougher to jockey for position because they're kind of halfway through that turf course, you know? And so like you're halfway through that first turn, you get spun out really wide on that first turn if you're that 10 or 11, unless you absolutely send. I don't see Irad absolutely sending here on the 11 horse. I think he'll probably use some, but not much. I think Rosario's just going to sit the 10 back and make one big run, which is not really what I'm looking for in this race. So to me, the 11 makes sense. I think the 8 makes a ton of sense. The other 2 that I used, and the horse that's also a must use for me is the 1 horse here, Constitutional Rage. The person I'm sitting in for here, Ricky, loves him, some Lascano, especially on the turf in the Naira circuit. And when I look at this horse, I just see a really muddied up form. Okay, last time out, mile 16th at Saratoga, yeah, fine, but we had Luis Rodriguez on, not exactly your best jockey there. I'm not sure if he won a single race at Saratoga the entire meet. So, we're going to kind of throw that one out. On top of that, spun 4 ride, he was ranking the first turn. Like that's a complete chuck out race to me. You go 2 back, we were taking off the turf. That's when we had Lascano up. You go 3 back, we were on the dirt with Lascano up. You go 4 back. We went 7 furlongs instead of going a mile and a 16th, which is what I think this horse wants to do. You can sell up instead of Lascano. I think this is, you go 5 back, you're in a maiden special weight. There is not a single race at this level, at this distance, on the turf with the jockey we're getting today, all of which I think are the best positives for this horse. I think this is the first time you're actually going to see a scenario line up where you have the horse doing what it wants to do. You're going to have the best version of the jockey on top of it, and you're going to get the situation where it's the right level. And you're getting 8-1 on this horse. I think there's a lot to like about the 1 horse who's going to get a good trip in this spot because of this rail draw. So the 1 and the 2 to me are the 2 horses you kind of have to use. I like the 1 quite a bit here, sitting on the board at 8-1. Other horse I used, I'm kind of surprised you didn't, to be honest. You talked about how you think Maker's going to have a big day. Maker's got 2 in here.
Yep.
And the other one is really interesting to me. Black Licorice, the 5 horse, 15-1. It's been working out well. Maker's second off the layoff is 25% with a $2.83 ROI. Sprint to route, he is 20% with a $2.34 ROI. You get Manny Franco up. You ask our boy Dan Tramador. He says Manny in the last is the way to go. So I'm more on this horse because I like the sprint to route angle. That's one of my favorite angles in horse racing. 2 sprints to route as well, but the first one was before the layoff, so I'm not even going to talk about that stat. Maker has 2 in here. I think it's awfully interesting that the 11, who makes a ton of sense, is in here with another Maker horse. So I don't want to get beat by the other Maker. So I'm going to end up going 1, 2, 5, 8, 11 on my 50-cent ticket. I'm just going to use the 1 and the 2 on my $5 ticket.
Did you call him Dan Tramador?
Yes, I did. I know I messed up the last name. my cousin married Dan Tramador, and I knew it as soon as I did it. I'm like, oh no, that's wrong.
That's who the hell is Dan Tramador?
Yeah. He's actually a musician from Toronto, and it's ironic because I'm doing a Woodbine show with Dan tomorrow. or Saturday. So they all kind of came together and went apart in my mind. But yeah, it's my cousin married him. He's a musician who performs for corporate events. If you're ever interested, go ahead and check that out.
There you go. Dan Schwartzman is who
Yeah.
Somich is referring to there. Listen, I like your 5 a lot better than the 1. The 5, the 5's trying new things for the first time, and I think that's always a good sign there. So I get it. It just came down to, I think if he thought the 5 had the best shot to win, he would have put Irad on the horse, So I got confused by the jockeys there, but Franco obviously suitable. The 1 is interesting. And by the way, why would you put the 1 on the dirt ever? Like when that race scratched off the turf on July 30th, why?
I don't know.
The horse has been beaten on the dirt by 36.5, 12, and 58.5. So we could talk about that all day, but that's kind of why some trainers win at higher percentages than others. They kind of know where to spot the horses. That's a big part of it. All right, let's summarize the ticket here. I've got yours up there now. You can walk us through it, and I'll walk through mine, and we'll get out of here.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I'm going to go with the 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go 3, 4, 7, 8 with 1, with 4, 5, 6, with 1, 2, 5, 8, 11. That'll cost you $30 for 50 cents. And I'm going to play a $5 ticket to try and make this thing pop. I'm going to go with a 3, 7, 8 with 1, with 4, with 1, 2, and that'll cost you $30 for $5 as well.
All right, and I've got a 50-cent ticket here, 3, 6, 7, 8 with 1, 2, with 1, 6, with 2, 8, 10, 11, $32 ticket. And I think that's right where you need to be. You need to be that $30, $40 range, unless you're going to just chuck both the entries, and then you got that value there. But for me, I kind of wanted to chuck that 1. I was in the third leg. I was hoping that the 1A would scratch, but with the 1A in, I just couldn't do it. So $32 ticket there. It's fun to have Belmont back. It's great to have Belmont back, and just have NYRA in general. I mean, we went all last weekend without a NYRA track, so that was kind of sad. But Belmont's back. We'll have coverage of it all meet long as always. Somich, all right. I know you got to go here in a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna not talk, and I'm gonna let you tell people one more time why Baker Mayfield is a bad quarterback.
Okay, bad quarterback is not what I said. I said he's a top 10 quarterback, but he is not a quarterback that will win you a Super Bowl. When you go back and you watch the fourth quarter again, they have 3 drives there. He misses every single throw on all 3 of those drives. There's a drop ball on 3rd down, but the ball was thrown inside. He missed a receiver short down the field when he could have extended it when they were ahead, 29-27. So he missed a 3rd down long throw, wide open receiver, missed him short. Then on the next 3rd down, when it was 33-29, they missed the 3rd down because he threw inside of the receiver when the receiver was open to the outside. And the interception was terrible. It was terrible. Yes, his leg got hit. But, man, he needed to get rid of that ball earlier and throw it away. He had happy feet that whole play. And when he threw the ball, he knew it. He starts pounding the ground immediately after it. He knew he should not have thrown that football there, to throw it away or take the sack. Either's fine. I mean, you really should throw that ball away earlier, but I get it. But like the receiver he threw to was double covered. It's not even like it was a bad decision all around. So yeah, to me, there's like 3 or 4 situations here. Now, early in the game, he was wonderful. He was great in the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, he completed like 3 passes. They were all checkdowns, and he missed on the 3 most important passes of the game.
So here's what I will agree with you on. I rewatched the game as well. To answer the question, yes, I watched it live and I've watched it the replay, and I agree. And I'm 100% with the commenter. It was one of his best games. I don't think you disagree with that, right?
No, he was great the first 3 quarters. I just don't think he can win you a Super Bowl. You can win a Super Bowl with Baker, but he cannot win you a Super Bowl. Those are 2 very different statements.
I think the one thing I'm going to agree with you on, the interception, that's on him. When I watched it the first time, I thought, well, he got hit as he was trying to throw it away. And I think even Romo was kind of sticking up for him. You watch it again, that's on him. He shouldn't have thrown that ball, or he should have thrown it quicker, like you said. So I will agree, the interception, that I'll blame Baker for that. But I thought he was pretty excellent other than that one throw, honestly. Even the throw where you said the ball's dropped, it was still a pretty good pass under pressure. Should have been caught, would have moved the chains. Who knows what would have happened. But I think the biggest takeaway is whether it's Baker making mistakes or the punter fumbling the ball or Nick Chubb fumbling the ball, when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, you cannot make mistakes, period, or you will get beat. The Browns, I think, were the better team in that game, but they made mistakes and let the Chiefs back in and win. So I still think Baker can win you a Super Bowl. So we'll disagree, but I've come to your conclusion. Yeah, that interception was totally on Baker. So we'll see. Listen, we got 16 more games to talk about this. So
I think it's incredibly important for them to get the 1 seed in the AFC. And I have these two teams in my power rankings as the number 1 and number 3 teams in football. So it's not like I think Cleveland sucks or they're bad or that Baker sucks. None of that. I'm really scared with 4 minutes left and you need to drive to close out a game to have the ball in Baker's hand, or with 2 minutes left, you need to drive to score with the ball in Baker's hand. Those are both situations where because look, what everyone who's playing the Chiefs, who's down 4 with 4 minutes left, is putting 7, 8, 9 in the box and saying, make Baker beat me, right? They're not going to let Chubb run the ball, even though that offensive line may still be able to open up holes against that type of box.
Yeah. The problem is, I don't really agree that, like with your comment or Dennis's comment, I've seen him lead teams down the field before. I think the problem is
you saw him do it in college.
No, I've seen him do it in the NFL too. He's done it like 3 or 4 times. He hasn't done it against an elite team. That's where it comes in. Last year he did it against the Bengals. He did it against the Ravens a few times. Sorry, Ricky, I don't think the Ravens are elite. But against okay, for example, in his own division, if they're playing the Steelers, okay, with an elite type defense, I don't know. That's where it comes in. But anyway, I know you got to go. We're going to get out of here real quick. Dennis asked, when is the football show? Noon. Dudes Who Bet Sports. I'm sorry, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central Time. Dudes Who Bet Sports will be on. We got a lot to cover, as you can imagine. So make sure to check that out. Magic Mike, regular time, 5:30 Eastern.
Yeah, Magic Mike, 5:30 Eastern. I'm going to be on JD and Champagne tonight. I think that records at 9:30. That's for the late pick 4 Saturday at Woodbine. And then America's Best Racing. I'm doing a 2-hour live Woodbine show on Saturday too. So you can catch me all over the place this weekend. We'll have Samo's 6-pack up again on Friday, hopefully. Went 4-2 last week. I bet Dallas, and now I'm a little concerned after the injury yesterday. They lost another defensive lineman, their number 1 pass rusher, so the top 2 pass rushers are out. Don't love that. I might buy back a little bit if I can get sub 3 on San Diego. You got anything tonight?
I hate the game tonight. I think it's just a real toss-up. If I had to take a team, I would take Washington minus, I think it's 3 or 3.5, but I hate both these teams. I think Washington's still okay, though, with Heineke at quarterback.
Yeah, there's some sharp money on the under. Went down from 42 to 40.5, I think, over the week. And so that's a pretty decent drop. And you got to think, like, everyone forgets Jason Garrett's the offensive coordinator for the Giants. He is like Mr. Vanilla. He's terrible on Thursday nights. So I would kind of like the Giants team total under, since it is kind of close right now. I think that's an interesting bet. I would probably play the Giants plus 3.5 because I hate myself and want to go root for the Giants for the night. No, I don't like the side of the game at all. I'm kind of all over the place with it. If anything, I would play Giants team total under.
Yeah, we're kind of going to restructure our show. I mean, we're still going to, for the sports show, we're still going to cover all the big games. We'll cover the night's game, but then we're going to pick like, here's our top 5 bets of the week. And that's what you could really, judge us on. And that's not going to be in there for me. I can tell you that. But I'll be watching because I'm sick, just like you. So
yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I will have some bet on the game. I just don't know what it is yet. And I'm not really confident in anything I'm going to do with it.
Well, I tell myself here at 10:43 Central Time, no, I'm not betting that. But by about 6 or 7, I'll have something for sure. So that's just how it is. That's how we live our lives. So anyway, Somich has got to go. And listen, we did it in 43 minutes. Make Ricky jealous here. We were able to pound that out. So, all right, guys, we got a lot going on today. Keep tuning into the channel. We'll have sports. We'll have Magic Mike. We'll have Blinkers off probably a little bit after Magic Mike. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Somich. And good luck to everybody today playing Belmont Park.